live. We're connecting to the platforms one by one. But
Excellent.
part of the other thing, you talked about the photonic light. We should talk about that.
Mm.
And then, of course, just having the three of you on. And then Morgan had told me last month, I said, Morgan, I don't pay attention to dates and all that, but I
Mm.
distinctly remember the 11th of January, 2017, 18, 19, and 20. I remember
Mm.
they were big. And she said,
Mm.
well, it's not going to be the 11th. And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, I've been getting the 13th for 2 weeks. Now, this was mid-December.
Wow.
So that's another thing that hit me this morning. But one of the things that's been happening in the last 30 days, and I was talking to Sandra about it, was that I asked her, I said, we're live, but that's okay. We're just having a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
But
cool.
I said to Sandra, I said, something weird's been happening over the last 30 days. Like the team is getting bigger and
Yeah.
bigger. And I said,
Yeah.
the room is like filling up,
Mm. Mm.
metaphorically. And she's nodding her head and going,
Yeah.
yeah. And I said, and,
Yeah.
long story short, I said, and they're basically telling me that they're going to have more physicality. So she just goes on to tell me how she got the same thing, how they're starting to come in fully like,
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So that part of it too, in top of this, the photonic light you were talking about, and just the human, part of it too, so
Mm.
let me check. Yeah, we got people popping in now. I think all the platforms are up and running. Let me just make sure. So here we go. Are we here? Nope. Hang on. I'll tag you on it after the show's over. And if you
Oh,
ever
thank
want
you.
any of these, if you ever want the MP4, I'll be glad to.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Thank you.
You
Beautiful.
want one? You want me to send you one
Yeah. No,
after this?
that'd be great. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me just
Thank
write it.
you.
Let me write it down, because you know how the 3D memory goes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we got, okay. So let me just turn this on so I can at least see the comments on the main page. So in case somebody has any questions or anything comes up. Hello, everybody. This is Todd at Soulogy, Soul Speaks 5D, our typical raw way of coming to you. We've got, what a powerful end of the day. I was just talking to Maree. Everyone knows Maree Batchelor. I love collaborating with her, and I woke up, I find myself talking to David Icke, Sandra Walter, and Maree Batchelor on the same day. And I'm like, whoa. And I was just talking to Maree about how I just got knocked out after the Sandra show over on the couch back here. And I'm still discombobulated, but who better to integrate and come into balance than Maree Batchelor. So thanks for coming in, Maree, and putting up with
Well,
me.
it's always a pleasure, Todd. I just, love your shows, love being invited on, and what an honor to speak with you today, because whatever you've been doing today, I can feel it. And I'm sitting here in my chair, and I may as well be on a raft on the ocean, bobbing up and down in frequency that is flooding in.
Yeah.
And this is what's available now. It's phenomenal. So, we're tapping in, and we're creating in it, and we're generating more of it. So fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And before, or as we were getting started, and I was telling you about this, you said something about, and you're, because I was telling you 2,500 shows, I've never gotten nervous, and I got nervous before he came on. I felt like I was talking to, like Gandhi, or these are people I've read their books over my life, and so it's like, I'm gonna. But you said, but we're also all dealing with this photonic light that's coming in. I don't usually comprehend too much the scientific part of soul science, but I'm starting to. So if you could just kind of explain, what does that mean in layman's terms for people like me?
Yeah, right. Well, as you were saying that you were feeling nervous, I was sitting outside before having a coffee, and I could feel this energy coming in that you could say has a flavor of nervousness or anxiety, but it's just such high frequency vibration that's coming into these earth suits, a new level of light that's available now. And so our old self is familiar with it as a slight sort of nervousness, but it's actually just these high frequencies coming in. And from where I was sitting as I was listening and watching your interview with David Icke, you didn't look at all nervous. So, you know, it was, you know, to me, it's more about being just absolutely flooded with this light into the physical earth suit. And, you know, I'd go to say that that amount of light coming into your earth suit a few years ago might have blown a fuse, but you've adapted and transformed and upgraded enough that you can handle it. But it's extraordinary, but great for people to know that this is the help that we are getting now from the galactic realms, from our higher selves, from that consciousness that we are assisting this personal journey, which then floods out into the collective, well, through to your personal reality and out into the collective. So this is the work right here, holding this light frequency and staying in alignment with the truth and not getting too distracted by what's going on in the 3D realm, which is constantly trying to pull us into the game, into the drama. And so being aware of that, but noting when you're starting to get reactive or triggered or your frequencies are going down, and really learn to sort of, you know, turn it off, walk away, go and do something that fills you up again. So, amazing. I mean, we are in, you know, a completely different energy field now to when I last spoke to you, which is really only, it was the 24th of December. So, wow.
Is that how soon it was? Good God.
It's like the weeks are now like a year. It's like, whoa.
I know. And that description of the photonic light, you know, because a lot of times, and even with Morgan, I mean, I know, like myself too, I mean, I'll feel like all my cells are jumping. Like there's this, and then to your point, like, I was nervous prior, and I don't know when it went away. It went away before it started. I mean, when it started, you saw he doubled and tripled and all those. So that was more my familiarity. Crazy stuff happened before a show, because I know that's an energetic thing. You know, the crazy thing is too, at the end, and I want to probably go order this book, but he talked about writing this last book. I think it's called Awaken, something like that. But he specifically talks about, evidently in this book, what we might call paranormal, you know, like the other aspects of us, as he talked about, you know, we talk about, these are our aspects talking to ourselves. And so the funny thing is something like that happened this morning. I told you I woke up and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? I came down here and I'm trying to like pretty much like the state I'm in now, and how these things happen, right? As soon as I sat down, I got a voice message, which I never even noticed because there's so many of them. I don't even look at them, but like every 2 weeks and try to work them. But I got a message from this beloved sister who's been on the show a couple of times, very much like your frequency, like Morgan, very kind of, you know, she's more like reserved. She's doing videos. She's been pushed to do them, got great information. Out of the blue, she sends me these 3 messages. And she says, and this is connected to, you know, what I was talking about with the content of his new book. She says, I went for a walk in the forest and I needed to tell you something. I'm coming out of the forest and you appeared in front of me. She said, it wasn't just your face, it was your whole entire body. And then from your heart center, there was like an explosion.
Oh, wow.
And the whole body, you know, disintegrated, but your face stayed. And she said, the only way I can describe it is that you came back and your reformation, you were like a lion. She said, but that doesn't do it justice with your face. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I heard what he said at the end of that show. And I thought, wait a minute, this kind of stuff is going to go mainstream now. Like if he's going to write about it, and I don't know if you've been experiencing it, but I'm sure you have, where people say, hey, you were in my dream last night, or hey, you brought me a crystal. So these things are going to start going mainstream. Like, wow,
absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And, you know, what a fantastic way to start nudging people even further into the truth of what goes on here, that we are these multidimensional beings. And really, when you think of it from that perspective, of course, that's possible. but it's always a shock to the human form saying, wow, I was really there in the forest as this lion being. And I have people that I work with saying, thank you so much. You came to me when I was having surgery. You held my hand as we were going into theatre and, you know, while I was going off to sleep, or thank you very much. You came into my dreams, or even I was driving in the car and your voice came in and guided me with information. And you just go, wow, you know, I'm unaware that I'm doing that. I'm fast asleep, but great job, higher self. Get on with it and do what you need to do. So, yeah, look, we are now evolving into this unbelievable, really magical, mysterious, synchronistic, incredible time of creation, manifesting, and just here it is. This is what we've been really waiting for, and each month it just gets stronger and stronger. So what a fantastic way for us to feel reassurance and confidence that it is all going in this direction of this organic ascension and the embodiment of the light. And as I was saying before, we've got to be careful not to be too distracted by what's going on in the 3D reality. We have to be aware of it. You know, we need to be very knowledgeable about it, because the knowledge gives us the power, the strength to deal with it, but not get triggered and reactive, and learn to, you know, get out in nature or do something if you're feeling too pulled into it, because crazy times. And also recognizing where you're, like for me with my 3D family, and particularly over Christmas and New Year, spending a lot of time with them, feeling myself where that ego gets triggered, where I'm trying to wake them up, give them information and push, and then getting that firewall response of, you know, locking down and going, okay, I have to pull back. I have to relax. And one of the beautiful things that's been coming to me, which I talked about a little bit, but it's sort of blossomed even further. I was talking about softening. The message was coming through. Soften, you know, soften your mind, soften your heart, soften your physical body, and allow that warrior strength of light to come through to be the guide, so that you're not reactive from the ego or the subconscious programming. But what's also come through now is soften. You're going home. And the you're going home all of a sudden switches me into this state of, it's all okay, relax. I don't need to get into this battle with anybody. I don't need to get into this battle with the 3D. I can be the observer. I can be detached, because no matter what's happening, I'm going home. Home, being into this self, this being, this familiarity, this expansion of light, this peace, love, and joy embodied. And then ultimately, when we leave our vessels, we carry on as that light, as that peace, love, joy, and well-being. So soften, you're going home, is just a way of really quickly getting out of that triggered state, or that reactive state, or that angsting or striving or needing something to be any different than how it is, needing to control. It all goes away. It melts. For me anyway, with that statement, soften.
That's a big
home.
Word. Yeah, that's a big word too, control. Like that just gives the frequency of constricted muscles, you know, like tightening up, and this softening thing is a great figuratively and literally a great
ultimately that control is what's programmed into us through the fears. It's that, oh my God, if I don't control this situation, if I don't control this person, if I don't control what's unfolding, then, you know, I'm not safe. But soften. You're going
happy.
Home. You're going to be safe. You don't need to control this. You can sit back, hold these frequencies, and bring in that you need. And synchronistically, things will unfold for you, by you. But getting out of that reactive fear state that puts you in a state of needing to control a person's understanding, control what a person's wanting to do, control. You know, I was talking with my father, and I said, surely you're not getting the I don't know how much I meant to say on this before they, you know, ban us, but you know,
you can say whatever you want.
The COVID chemotherapy that they're putting out there now, you know, and just hearing his reaction, and I was saying, look, the side effects are being shown now. There are many people that are really suffering from already having this, And his attitude is, oh, well, there's always going to be some losses for the greater good, and we need to have, you know, and you just go, whoa. And I just finished with, okay, I've just fulfilled my duty of care.
Yeah.
I've given you the information that I understand. I am a doctor. I trained in that medical world. I've woken up. I now see things from a greater perspective and another side of the fence. But that's okay. That's where you're at. But I've fulfilled my duty of care. I don't need to debate you on this. Yeah. And it was great. Soften. I'm going home.
Yeah. No charge. No charge. Just, you know, it's such like a tapestry of frequencies today now into this third show. So I don't know where one stops and one starts. But but I do remember speaking along the same lines with both David and Sandra Walter. And I was pretty impressed with this because, and then she added to it, but he said, knowledge is not negative or positive. Yeah. It's just information. Yeah. And I thought, whoa, yeah. Light worker community needs to hear this. And then Sandra said something along the lines, and I can't remember, and it was almost like she just picked up his sentence and went with it. But it's a lot like what you're saying now, because I said to him, like, and I've said to a lot of people, how do we bring this down to the human aspect level? Like, what are the nuts and bolts? What's the rules of the road? What's something familiar that any of us could follow, like a process or whatever? And so, like, I think, to me, hearing something like that, you know, and taking it in is perception altering.
Yes.
Like that does it. Like you don't have to focus on, okay, step with your left foot, your right foot, or, you know, go this way, turn left, turn right. You just say, wait a minute, this is all just information, you know, and that's a pretty simple, profound truth to me, you know, it really is. Yeah. Like with what you're doing with your father.
Yeah. And that immediate ability to not be triggered or reactive, knowing that this information is empowering you not to be triggered into a state of fear or control, being aware of the 3D reality, which has this dual aspect, positive, negative, good, bad. Go higher to that I am presence that you are, soften, you're going home.
Yeah.
And then that information is empowering. It's not going to, it doesn't, you don't react in that fear state. You just pull yourself back into alignment with that source that feels so expansive and you feel so free. So finding things that you can do that can quickly take you out of that state of reaction and trigger. And we all need some way of disciplining and pulling ourselves back into alignment, because they're continuing to distract us, whether it's in your personal world, your, you know, local community, or in the, you know, global community. We've got to find ways to switch off that reaction and that pull, that taking yourself out of that contact with who you really are. Yeah. So, you know, any statement, any little line that can help you to really remind yourself of what's going on. Brilliant.
We talked on the 24th, so that's 21 days ago.
Yeah, like it feels like a few years ago.
I know. I mean, like, and you made reference to that right when we got on before the show. I mean, like, I don't know. What happened in the last 3 weeks? Do you have any kind of finger?
Look, there's been a shift in the supportive, benevolent frequencies that are available for us. And of course, we knew about all the alignment of the planets and where, you know, we've got Jupiter and Saturn and, you know, things have been changing. So we've got this lighter frequency coming in, and that's making this, if you call it work that we do, the inner process, much easier. It's so much easier now. So you might still get the trigger, you might still have the reaction, but to pull yourself out of it is a lot easier.
Yeah.
And so we're just getting flooded. It's available. Again, this is why we must turn away from the distractions that we're reacting to and getting triggered, because now is the time to bathe in this light and get the upgrades, get the codes, get the activations of your organic technology, the DNA, the energy centers, and get them in full function So they're radiating out further frequencies and light into your cells to cleanse and purify and self-heal. So it's such an incredible time. And, you know, it's not just me and you, it's happening across the globe. People are finding it easier to step into this higher self energy as long as they make an effort. You know, it is a discipline. It's a discipline to say, I don't want to get in this drama. I don't want to get triggered. I don't want to end up activated in an ego space, and quickly pulling yourself out of it, knowing it's a trick. It's always a trick. They're always, the dark is always wanting you in drama. It feeds off drama. And when we, those that have been embodying more and more frequencies, get into the drama, we're the best feed for the dark. We're like, you know, gold. We're, you know, wow, a prize for them. We're feeding families of dark entities. And on that, once you're triggered into that negative state, be aware that there are these very suppressive parasitic entities jumping on, and they can take you down so quickly. And so, you know, it's not even you at that point. It's just this sludge and this energy drain and exhaustion, and you can't think straight, and you're just sort of feeling like, whoa, what's the point? But that's all the trick of these entities. You can flick them in a sentence. You can flick them in a moment, in a breath, in a connection. And, you know, it changes so quickly now that we've got this light.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, you know, I also had the thought in one of these shows, I think I spoke it, was I started to realize, wait a minute, if these, I think it was with Ike, I said, you know, with the, you know, we know about the, whatever we want to call it, Archonic entities, you know, these fourth dimensional nefarious entities that feed off our emotion, you know, our negative or imbalanced emotion, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, I thought, well, okay, I'm going to start going, wait a minute, we have the benevolent energies that can feed off of our, you know, for lack of a better word, off our congruence, off of our positivity and so on. And I'm glad that you made that distinction too, because about being able to flick it off in a sentence, right? Alicia Power was on yesterday. She's been doing this for 35 years, I think.
Wow.
Country mate of yours, very, you know, very well established in our circles. And one of the things she said to me, because she's been dealing with, I think for the last 15 or 20 years, this team of creator beings, you know, we're talking off universe type. I mean, you know, and she said, every morning I get up and I go into, I'll use my words, but like a maintenance program. She said, I'm no different than anyone else. I can wake up, I have a new implant or attachment or something's broke through. So I go in and I go to work and I get them cleaned up and I go about my day. So I thought that was great advice.
Absolutely. And we're all, you know, vulnerable to this. It's none of us are, you know, getting away without having any type of challenge trying to come in to distract us, take us off, you know, take us out of our alignment. But being aware of what's happening, again, this is where the knowledge is power, because once you recognize, you know, this is the game, this is what's going on, you know, I don't want to get pulled into it again. And you switch it off, and that energy doesn't get drained from you anymore, and you're not creating the reality that the dark wants you to create. Remember, we are these creator beings. So if the dark can manipulate your thoughts through old programs, activating it through a triggered experience, you know, they're setting up people or situational things to happen around you to distract you, to take you out, to get you into this ego fear. And once you've recognized that that's what's going on, just quickly, I don't want to play that game. I'm not from here. I'm a multidimensional galactic being. I'm full of source light. Bring it in. And it's a form of spiritual hygiene. It's cleaning as you go. Every breath, if you're present, is cleaning. It's activating. It's purifying. And it is opening you up to a whole different reality. My world has felt so much softer. I've been so much more expanded, more joyful. And we've had, you know, shenanigans going on. I had plans that I was going to take my children on school holidays up to Sydney. Well, that's not possible. We've had all the shenanigans. And I've just been holidaying with the kids around home. And it's been one of the best weeks of my life with these kids, just enjoying the simplicity of being here, being present, and just non-scheduled. Yeah. What do we feel like? Let's do it. It's, you know, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I did that with my kids when I exited the conventional workforce. When I was in California, 2 blocks from the beach, and I spent 6 weeks with them, drained all my money, literally.
Yeah.
It's my first light worker move, I guess. I didn't know, something will happen, it'll work out. And for 6 weeks, I just laid on the beach with them every day. We had no schedule. And it was probably my liberation point, you know, the beginning of it. One of the things you said that I want to go back to, because I think this is important, you know, so much of our journey at times has felt like a struggle, like a fight, you know, and so 2 things have become clear to me today in these conversations because of the experience leading up to it. And I really believe what you just said in terms of what happened since we talked on the 24th. Like, what is that? What happened? One of those things is I'm starting to understand something that I've struggled with for a long time, what in the work I do, but I'm starting to understand that awareness alone is really all it takes. Just like with your father, you said what you had to say, and you move on. Just people becoming aware of something gives them the opportunity. Sooner or later, they're gonna take it. But I mean, to say, hey, this is legitimate. This is actually happening, and then that opens up a whole new quadrants of code and capacity, and with it, I'm sure with increased coding available in our field, that we have higher you know, access to supernatural higher skills and abilities, intuition, telepathy, and such. But the other thing I noticed too is in the last 30 days, you know, which really ramped up, I got to say, after 12 was, you know, we connect every night, and I talk about it, and I've talked to you about it before. This is just our routine. And what I've noticed is that my ability to access my aspects, to include my body, you know, the communication is clearer. I went into a place 4 days ago, 5 nights ago. We put our hands together. I think she channeled a little bit, and I think I might have said a word or two, and then we were off on our own thing, right? And there's been these like blue beans coming and you know, talking, but I was just guided. I mean, like knowing in a way I'd never known. And I held whatever that frequency was. And the next thing I know, I was in this place I'd never been.
Wow.
And the crazy thing was, which again isn't about Todd and Morgan, I think it's about what's happening. When I entered this dimensional space, or whatever this was, because I know, I mean, I was like, I've never been here. Wow. And I thought that I was going to immediately pop back out, but I didn't. But as soon as I entered that space, I heard her kind of make a noise, 2 noises. And I knew in that instant, wait a minute, did she know what I just did? And of course, the next day, I said, do you remember last night? She said, yeah, I was surprised you were there. It shocked me. I kind of like started.
Wow.
So, well, I guess what I'm saying is we spent all this time fighting like a fish going upstream against and now what I'm picking up with what you're saying is that, you know, and we've had little like flashes of it, but this is like here to stay. This is what I asked you. What's different the last 3 weeks? This is what's different. Like everything went way up, not just a notch, but like way up. So if we have the intent and the practice, you know, it's not like we're going to have to meditate on a rock for 365 days. You can actually get there in 3.5 minutes. You know, like it's available.
it's phenomenal. And, you know, it's filling up the earth suit, which I've been talking about, it's embodied. You know, we're getting in the body. The experiences are in and through the body. It's not about escaping this reality. It's bringing in this light, and bringing in this high frequency to be here and not of that density. And what I've noticed is this feeling of almost a clearing of clag. And so everything is more vibrant. It's easier. It's in the flow. The synchronicities are coming in as the mind has been cleared of this sort of paste, if you like, this goo that sort of blocked it and dulled everything down. And so this embodiment of light is really cleaning, purifying, shifting, and making it easier, and then more access to more light and more light available. And so it is accelerating the whole process. Fantastic. Just when being triggered, noticing when you're like a dog with a bone, you know, you can't let it go. You're on and on and on and on. That's the sign to yourself.
Yeah.
It's got you.
Yeah.
Soften. And interesting, in that softening, those around you actually don't get triggered in their ego stance, and they actually take a little bit more notice of what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting as you stop that triggered reaction, soften, know that you're being guided, know that things are unfolding for you, by you, and the experience is just changing. Heightened joy, peace, love, connection, expansion, creativity, synchronicities, all the things that we knew were available, and now they're really here.
Which means no drama.
Yeah.
You know, it's smooth and symmetrical, you know. And the other thing I noticed is, like, it's weird. How do you explain this stuff? You know, like, you used to have a thought come in that you don't want. Actually, I generate it. Like, I'll say, oh my God, they did this, or they did that, or they're this, or they're that. And it used to be more heavier or solid or something, like a boulder. So like if I did it, for me to pull it back was a lot of work, you know, like, but now they pop in and I go, oh, wait a minute, let me pull that back. That's it's gone. You know, it's almost like when a thought comes into meditation and you let it go, you know, you bring it in and you let it go. And I noticed that, I thought, wow, that's very fluid, you know? So I think that might be connected to that energy that you're talking about that's landed.
Well, we're not cherishing our opinions, our beliefs, and our judgments like we used to, because we're recognizing that all of that was from a programmed reality, veiling our sense of self and veiling our sense of reality. So when those thoughts are coming in, we're not cherishing them as much. We're able to observe and detach and say, that's one perspective. Let's take the blinkers off. Let's open up to that I am presence. And you get this expanded awareness instead of this blinkered opinion of she did, he did, this is happening. It's a perspective, but it's not the whole story. And so open and get a much wider perspective. Let it go, soften. It's amazing. You know, you can transition, transmute, transform at an accelerated speed. This is just phenomenal where we're at. It's lightning speed, isn't it? It's just like...
It really is. Even the thoughts, the epiphanies, the revelations, like, you know, a lot of people in the last 10 days or so have hit me up with, I'm going to MeWe, or I'm going to gab.com, or, you know, we got to do something. And I used to have that. I'm like, we got to get this network started. We got to get the social network on Soulogy started to get people, and it left. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I went through this exercise 5 or 6 days ago, and I went, okay, you know what, guys? I'm releasing all that. You know, if I just get on here and do 3 shows a day the rest of my life, and that's what I'm going to do. Or you show me or something. But when I was thinking about, or when these people were friends and stuff coming at me or sending a post or comment, I thought to myself, wait a minute. Because I thought, okay, well, let me go check it out. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. Hang on a second. We're effing transformers. Why would we deal with this in the 3D illusionary, you know, realm? Why wouldn't we utilize all of this stand our ground, and transform the energy and make a statement with our presence. I mean, that's not something that ever really, in other parts of my life, maybe, yeah, but I never thought about it like that. I thought we can literally turn the world upside down.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. Well, it's a much more surrendered state. Instead of striving for this from the mind, from the program, which is all of us, how we've been programmed as children, work hard to achieve anything. You've got to push, you've got to strive, you've got to, it's difficult, life's tough, you're not going to get anywhere. And it's actually, well, I think I'm just going to let my higher self guide. And as you said, if I end up just doing what I'm doing, then so be it. It's back to this chopping wood, carrying water. I think when we first awakened, we had sort of these grandiose ideas of, oh my gosh, it's got to be, and I've got to be, and it's going to be this. And now it's actually, wow, it's simple. It's really simple. And it can expand into amazing things, but it's not from striving from the 3D human. It's allowing that higher self to come in, show me who I am, show me what I need, bring it forward. I'm willing to be a vessel of light and let go of the human angsting. If this is what I'm meant to be doing all my life, this is what I'm meant to be doing, because it's in the experience of it, and it doesn't matter. We're not attached to outcomes. We're not needing to control where this is going. We're not attached to how it needs to unfold, and we're much more trusting. So
and this softer thing too that you're talking about. If now that I love this show. It's like being in a session. But that energy that you noted when I asked you what's changed in 20 days, 21 days, it feels softer. It actually, if I think about it, overall, throw a blanket over everything we're talking about, the specifics of it, it feels softer. It feels like a cushion. It feels like, there's just not sharp edges. It's just like a pillow. You know what I mean?
And then there's a less personal aspect going on. It's less the things that you're seeing, you're not taking so personally. They're not hurting as much. They're not, like a stab in the heart. It's just okay, that's what's happening out there. It's an arm's length of what's going on out there, and that inner being is just coming in as a sort of protection, as the softness of the light, as the frequency of nurture, of compassion. And it's a different quality now, much softer. But let's not sort of confuse being soft with not being in a warrior stance, because that light is soft, but it's got a power, a strength. And that's where the human softens, and the light, the expansion of that light, that power of that light has a warrior strength, but a quality that's also feeling more expansive, more nurturing.
No, I'm with you there.
Softer to the human.
It's easier to work with. It's like a kid, working with dried up Play-Doh versus something really soft and pliable, right? I mean,
absolutely. What a great analogy.
But you know what I mean? That drive, that light warrior part of us that's not the wounded masculine part of us, that really serves, it had to function in this hardcore, rah kind of thing. And now that's the word of the day for me. I mean, it's like that describes it. One of the other things that I really got, that I'm getting from today, right up to this point, is I kept looking at, and I'm sure tied to my own thing, my work and my life and all that, like, well, why is it taking so long? What's going on? And I've always been an optimist, always, my whole life. So I'm never going to give up. But today I actually feel the progress that we've made. Like I can see, this is not going to go back like
Yeah.
ebb and flow. This is going to
Yeah.
continue to just,
Yeah.
and every time it keeps going, it's an exponential step. And
Yeah.
and I think both people I talked to today, have, acknowledged in their own way that, this is getting bigger and bigger. More and more people are coming to the party. And it is has a contagious aspect to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a sustaining of this quality within us now that we didn't have before. And this sustaining energy that's just where we're no longer going, when's it going to happen? How much longer? When am I going to get there? How's this going to unfold? What's going to, we've taken our eye off the future and come back into the present moment with much more ease. Before it was a struggle to be present. Whereas now it's just this, wow, let's just be. Let's see what happens next. We're not trying to get somewhere. We're just allowing ourselves to unfold and be guided into the directions, and things will change and things will, unfold and open up, but we're not angsting about it. Remember those days of when's it going to happen? How much longer?
Well, we just had it. We just had it here in the U.S. and I guess the whole world with this whole pins and needles. Everybody, what's the next? And I was there. I was doing it. What Trump say? What did they do here? What did they? And so it was like this. And I asked the people today about it. I'm like, this external fix that we're looking for. But I used to think, people talk about the Great Divide. Are we going to walk in two worlds? Are they going to, how's that going to look? And I used to think, are some of us, some people, I'm not going to put myself there, but like going to walk around and you see their aura and everybody sees it. And like, we need to talk to that person. Now I'm starting to think it's going to be like, okay, something happens. Everybody's freaking out. And there's 3 or 4 people that live on the street. They're just walking their dog and saying la-di-da. Yeah. And they're like, hey, aren't you triggered? Aren't you charged? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And that to me at the human level would be something where people go, well, I want some of that, whatever she's drinking. Right?
Yeah. I've noticed it here where they've brought in the mask mandate again. That's all been ramped up. You have to wear your mask indoors. It's, you'll be fined if you don't and whatever. And of course, I'm not wearing the mask as I haven't been, over these months. But what I've noticed is nobody's saying anything. I'm not being attacked. I'm not being, shunned, pushed around, confronted. I'm just going about my business and getting on with it. Nobody's telling me off. So what a change. It's almost like you're saying, these higher frequencies, you can just sort of walk around and see all of this happening around you, but it's not coming into attack as much. It's fantastic. So does our higher frequency bring in this protection from this reality that's no longer able to sort of penetrate, and therefore people just don't bother? Is our light such that, you're not seen as you're not standing out, or as something's going on, something's shifting to allow us to get on with who we are with less attack?
Yeah, like that's a great example too, because that's weird, because I go to this one place over here and it's a grocery store, and it's a small one, and I always put my around my neck. It's just a tube looking thing, and if I see I have to, I'll put it up. But I noticed that the last couple of times I went there, and this would be over the last 5 days. First of all, there was one day I walked in, nobody was wearing them. There must have been 15 people in the store. And but when I would have it on my neck, I would say to myself, I wonder if I can do this, or is someone going to say something? Do I need to put it on? And I caught myself, and I was like, wait a minute, if I'm even entertaining that, but this was again in a different kind of, like an upper level language or something. I've heard it before. I've had this dialogue before, but this was different. This is like, just drop the mask, don't think about it. Like like you said, go about your business. Yeah. And it's.
And like that's definitely shifted in me too. I used to think about it. I'd sort of hesitate. Oh, okay, I'm going in, or I've got my mask on. What's going to happen? It doesn't even enter in my mind anymore. I'm just like, wow, I've got all that I need. I'll deal with whatever arises when it arises. I'm not going to project into the future of how this is going to unfold. I just don't even go there. It's so interesting. Again, it's more present, and a feeling of being supported. We've grown, we've got a strength now. We've got a strength from all that we've been doing over the years, a strength, a confidence that it's okay no matter what.
Yeah.
Soften, I'm going home.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what, I'm going home. And in a way, it gives you a sense of you just don't need to, it just drops that fear and worry and anxiety of what's going to happen, because I know now I'm going home. I can feel it in every breath. I'm getting stronger. And when I say going home, I mean in physical, but going home to that familiar energetic being that's connected through the dimensions back to source, and then ultimately going home out of the vessel when we transition. But wow, doesn't matter what's going on in that reality out there, because I'm going home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all okay. It's always okay.
Yeah.
As my 16-year-old told me that when I was on the streets for 2 years, I'd see him and say, "It's going to be okay." He'd say, "Dad, it's always okay. It's always going to be okay." And I was like, "What?" 16-year-old shaman. Now you got kids, and man, I'm trying to like keep my eyes open for this. You can see it in the pictures of children. You can see it in videos of children. You can, you know, teenagers, young people. I mean, wow, you know, something's happening here. You know, we have a friend that lives in Costa Rica. A lot of people know her. You know, she had a girl, and I think it came around the 3rd of January, something like that. And Morgan told me about a picture. Oh, this kid's like 2 days old, and it's just like this, you know.
Yeah, wow.
And so I had to go look at it, and I got a download looking at it. I was like, whoa, you know, like you can see it, touch it, feel it.
Yeah.
Are you picking up on anything in the last 2-3 weeks?
Oh, wow, yeah. Look, my children are just, you know, they are definitely warriors of light in that, you know, they're just not being phased. They'll hear all the nonsense of the mainstream narrative, and they just don't buy into it. They're so well aware of what's going on. And then I did a little bit of work on both of my girls, one's 11 and one's 15, and, you know, what they're experiencing. And my daughter was telepathically communicating with William, my son that was killed, and she's bringing in information, and she's looking at me saying, "You've disappeared, you've become blue, you're an alien being." And then we did this little session, and at the end of it she said, "I just feel so much cleaner, so much lighter." And so by encouraging her to just sit with me and bring in the frequencies and see what happens, she was having so much fun and is so well aware of the magic. And the thing about all of this, Todd, is that we need to realize that these kids have got the ability to connect into this multidimensional energy much more than we were able to. These kids have come in already partially activated and awakened. And so this is so comforting for them to know this. I mean, we've been navigating, I mean, for me, most of my life was, this is all there is. This is just, you're just a body. When you die, you die. There's nothing more. And of course, this also gives us an understanding of why the rest of the population out there that's not awake can't understand what's going on, because they miss the biggest point, that we are multidimensional galactic beings connected to source, full of magic and power. Leave that, you know, don't have that in your understanding. You know, it's so tricky to get your head around any of this. But what I've seen with the kids is they get it. They get it like that. They're just tapped in. You encourage them and support them. And as I said, we've had no schedule. I mean, I've been, you know, we're doing, you know, crazy things. We're having dinners at, you know, 10:30, 11 o'clock, staying up watching a movie till 2, sleeping in, or getting up early on other day, you know, just watching sunsets, sunrises, walks on beaches, and it's living, really living without timetable. Beautiful.
Yeah. That was a good story too, that you just told us about, like doing a session with your daughter and how she was communicating with William. And what you said at the very end of it, I just want to go back to, because that's really important, evidently. But you know, you think of the cosmic web, you know, like they actually have video and photography of the cosmos, and there's a web, there's a neural pathway, a cosmic neural pathway. And I love what you said at the end of that story, because how she said she felt clearer.
Oh, yeah.
I know that as within without, I know that we've got all of this, and maybe that's that gook you're talking about.
It is
But
that
it's like we've got these bindings and these blockages and these whatever you want to call it. So that's a really important thing to understand, the intricacy, how it's woven, not just externally, but actually within ourselves.
I was marveling at how incredible the energy being that we are, how incredible that being is, because I think about how disabled our earth suit has been, how interfered with, how manipulated, how sabotaged, how suppressed, full of, technologies, devices, thought forms, programs in the mind and the emotional body. And, really look at us. We've overcome that, particularly, people of our generation who've been, born fully into it without that awareness. And where we're at now, to have been able to wake ourselves up and get to this point on our journey, it's fantastic. It's such good news, because we have been so disabled. It's amazing that we can actually function. Like, I think about what they've done to us, from, shutting off our senses, shutting us down and controlling us, and, manipulating our DNA, infiltrating us so heavily. Look, here we are, standing tall. And I agree with you. There's no going back now. No. We're in it. We're embodying. We are becoming the modern day realized being.
Yeah. Everything in the kitchen sink was thrown at us, right?
Insane. And they continue, obviously, with those that are asleep, with this narrative. And of course, they want them all taking the next step with this, COVID chemotherapy, I call it.
Yeah, I saw that the state of California, which I believe from memory is the 6th largest economy in the world, right? Said that was going to be mandated in the school system. And when I saw that, I actually laughed. I thought, well, I guess a boatload of kids are going to be homeschooled.
Absolutely. And every time the dark ramp up, as painful as it is, there's always a solution of where there's light available, and it pushes us in the direction that we need to go. Further training, if you like, helps us take those leaps of faith, because there's no alternative. So we're being guided through what they're doing. It becomes a fuel for our awakening as we transmute what they're doing around us, and just going higher and higher. So, more homeschooling. Well, so be it.
I don't know. All I can say is, I know, as we all have made wholesale changes in many cases in our lives through traumatic events, through just personal turnarounds and all, whatever. But I got to say, as I come to the conclusion of this broadcasting day with you, your energy feels different. You feel different. I feel different. I'm different. I'm a different person today than I think I was yesterday by far. It's like something's happened, and I don't think it necessarily can be attributed to whatever physical things I did today. It feels like I woke up this way. And I love what you said at the beginning about sometimes it's just that photonic light. It's not like, old memory, you need to bring it up, or past life clearing, or ancestral lineage. It's just what it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And which is such good news as well, because we don't have to do all this, work on ourselves. We just flick a switch and align and fill on up with this light. It's so available. It's so available, so palpable, so expansive. Something's lifted off. Something's just been taken off. That frequency fence has just been reduced within us and around us. And then, this light that's coming in, it's so encouraging. It's like, whoa, there's no doubt that this is going on within us now. And we can feel it. It's just so palpable.
It's a lot easier to reset now. whether it be a thought you got to grab back, or just it's a lot. There's less judgment. There's less, I like what you said before. It's just the gook is gone. The gook is
and
gone.
with the gook going, everything is more vibrant. So the simple things are more enjoyable. Sitting on a beach and looking out across the water is a heightened experience now that just well up with so much more peace and joy and deep connectedness. Like I go to the beach with the kids and I'm going, whoa, I'm just experiencing this like it's luminescent. It's sparkling. Nature's sparkling now.
Yeah.
And it's because the goop's being lifted off. I can perceive it with such a high. I experienced that when I was in Ganeshbury before I had my big zap on the head, or at that time when I was there in 2014. Now I'm experiencing it at my local beach.
Yeah.
It's whoa. And I'm experiencing it in my garden in an area that's dense. The suburb that I'm in is extremely wealthy, extremely asleep, extremely shut down. Yet this is coming in, so wow, this same energy field, which is also a great thing. We don't have to go anywhere.
Right.
We don't have to chase this. We don't have to travel to sacred sites. We don't have to, set ourselves up and look to the east and bend over backwards and, do any sort of ritual. It's just breathe it in.
Yeah.
It's here now.
Yeah.
And it's sparkly, and that's available. And the more you breathe it in, the more you connect to this present moment, the more you soften, remind yourself, it's all happening. You're going home.
Yeah.
The aliveness.
That's right. We got this. Oh, thank you so much for bringing me back to a balanced, integrated point after this colossal, fantastic, powerful, energetic day for the earth. Because, I'm just very grateful. And I look forward to seeing you again. Yeah. And I really expect us to see some amazing things. I don't think it's going to be, oh my God, this could happen. And I think it's going to be like, oh my God, in a positive way.
Yeah.
Like, we can fly, or, we can do this, or like, it's going to be like mind blowing in that sense,
Yeah.
But it's all good. Thank you so much. And
always a pleasure. And what a great job you've done with all your interviews today and over the preceding months and years, and wow, look where you're at today.
Thank
and
you.
Just bathe in it and feel good about everything that's unfolding. It's great times. Amazing.
I feel good about it. I feel good about everything. Thank you so much. All blessings to you and yours. And give those kids a third eye kiss.
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
Thanks. See you then. Bye.